John Stevens in the Coach's Corner, first Coach's Corner of the new season. And joining me is Brian Johnston, our I guess, now what officially, head trainer or head sports medicine? Or,
right.
I know there's, in the athletic department, associate AD of this, that, or the other thing, but basically head trainer in our training room. And Brian did, we talk about outstanding feats among our student athletes during the athletic year, but Brian did something in the offseason that, well, just remarkable. Ran the Iron Man Triathlon in Lake Placid, and that's just, where do we start on something of this magnitude? I know that this is a process that goes back years, right, before the actual race is run?
Right, John. We really, it all started about 4 years ago on a bus trip with the baseball team, and I was sitting with some of the coaches, and we were talking about, you know, I'd previously done some marathons, and we were talking about different races and just the Iron Man event itself, and you know, we kind of threw it out there, who would be willing to do that, and I was the only one that really took the bait there.
So they kind of said, were they a little skeptical at the beginning and said, "Oh, I don't know, you know, if any of us is up to the task," and you just kind of said, "Well, I'll prove you wrong"? I
think it was more just, you know, we were basically wondering amongst ourselves if we really could do it.
Mm-hmm. And so what exactly, so you look ahead and you kind of map out a schedule for yourself, but you have to kind of work backward from the actual achievement, right? And then sort of map that out in a sense backwards from the time that you know you're actually running the race. How did you actually set that up for yourself and look ahead to the next 4 years of training?
Well, it's very similar to when in previous years training for a marathon, except I knew I wanted to do, you know, obviously involves a lot more. And so looking at the different events, you have the sprint distance, you have the Olympic distance, and then the half Ironman and the full Ironman event. And I felt like if I could conquer each stage each year, then I could kind of build myself up to that Ironman distance. And there's a lot into it. You know, the running I felt very comfortable with, but the biking and the swimming obviously were going to be a challenge, fitting in with just normal day-to-day work, and then just fitting in with the schedule, you know, with a family at home and spending time with them.
And of course, you know, taking care of a handful of teams here at ETSU and going on the road with those programs when they go on road trips and conference and non-conference. Talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of work that into your schedule. And I know, you know, a hotel has a pool or a workout room, and you're in there, you know, at the odd hours when, you know, maybe the rest of the team's still asleep or whatever, and you're in there training for the triathlon.
Pretty much all my training went from anywhere from 3:30 in the morning to 7:30 in the morning. Saturdays and Sundays, when I was in town, usually I could sleep in a little bit, but on the road, you know, pretty much very early. Hotel pools are very small, and you just do the best you can. And I was very fortunate to stay in some nice hotels that had some very nice exercise bikes, and spend a lot of time down in the exercise room. But it is very challenging. But that's kind of part of it. You know, one of the things I learned is you have the professionals who that's their job, and then you have a great majority of the age group contestants who they have a regular job and regular things that go on in their life that really distract, and so you have to put those aside and really plan and make time for yourself.
And as far as preparation goes, when is the moment when you actually really hit the ground running hard? Because of course you're stepping yourself up bit by bit to get yourself trained and ready, as you talked about the multiple levels of training. When is it that you really go into maximum overdrive and you kind of can see the light at the end of the tunnel that ends in Lake Placid?
You know, for me this past year, I ran a marathon in January. And so I knew my running was going to be where it needed to be, and it was just a matter of keeping that base as I went through the process. And pretty much through January, February, and March, really just kind of building up, really building base strength again, really getting my stroke both on the bike and in the water down. And then about 12 weeks out, it really gets heavy, and the volume of training really skyrockets. And it goes from, you know, your long rides from 25 to 30 miles to 80 to 90, and your runs, you know, are up 15 plus pretty much every Sunday.
And now, talking about the bicycle, I know that there were two things. You not only had technology on your side, and where you had the course programmed in the training room, you could actually ride the exercise bike and be on the course, but you you drove or you rode your longest distance as you were kind of coming down the stretch there. Talk about that bike ride and what that entailed.
Right. Well, I was very fortunate with the sports science lab that we have here at East Tennessee State, and they have a Velotron bicycle that actually had the Iron Man course loaded into the computer, so I could ride that course. And so Tuesday, Thursday mornings, typically I would ride that through the winter. And then my longest ride, kind of when I knew that I could reach that distance, I actually rode to Knoxville, which is where I grew up. And so it was really nice to ride from Johnson City to West Knoxville and you know, get to spend the night at my parents' house. And once I did that, I kind of knew I was ready.
And talk about the race itself. Talk about the actual moment. I mean, what's it like when you're doing? But first, let's break the numbers down and tell me about what exactly the race entailed, numbers-wise, and what's the feeling as you're accomplishing that.
It's a 2.4-mile swim, and it is far and away the most physical thing that I've ever been a part of in my life. There are 2,600 people all swimming in the same direction, and everybody is fighting for space in the water. And honestly, for a mile and a half, mile and three quarters, there was no open water. You know, you're hit in the head, kicked in the face, and you're kicking other people in the face. And you know, you get out of the water and you hop on the bike, and the bike's 112 miles. It was 2 56-mile loops and some big-time hills. You know, the Lake Placid is not a very flat place. And then the run is a 26.2 mile run through town, and great atmosphere, great people around. You know, it was crowds on both sides of the street cheering for you. It was just unbelievable day.
Well, it's a remarkable achievement, and Brian, although we don't have, I know we could talk about it for hours in the program, but we're running out of time, but we definitely appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us about it.
Thank you very much.
That's Brian Johnston, our head athletic trainer, ETSU's very own Iron Man.